Hey y'all, welcome to the December Release and Cleanse Monthly Master Class. It's your girl Mia Bia here, ancestral healer and intuitive mindset coach. I'm so excited for this last chapter of the Release and Cleanse series for 2025. Um, we've had some interesting times over the last few months in doing this. I'm really happy that Spirit put it on my heart to create this series. Um, so many of us hold on to a lot of things, and um, I do believe that um, releasing is definitely a way to cleanse our spirit, cleanse our mindsets, cleanse our lives, just to remove stagnant energy so that we're able to move in the direction that we need to move in so that we can live in our purpose for this lifetime and the next. So I thank you guys for joining me. If you have not caught any of the other release and cleanses, go back to my page on YouTube and catch those. And then there's also a few things on Instagram as well. All right. So this month's release and cleanse is focusing on rewriting our personal narratives, retelling our personal narratives, being able to communicate with this sense of duality, like understanding that there are two sides to the story, that there are two sides to our experiences. Understanding that once we're able to see the duality in our experiences, that something can be both and then are we only able to gain clarity that way? Um, Understanding that perspective, it needs an open mindset, right? For us to really see what it is that we need to see inside of a situation. Right now, you could be feeling like mentally bogged down, like there is a mental overload, like you need to speak your truth, like you are in this position or this place where there's something on your heart and you just really have to get it out. That's the kind of energy that we're feeling right now. We're in a space to where we're letting go of stories that no longer hold weight and no longer serve a purpose for us in this next season of our lives. Sometimes we can be a little oblivious to the fact that life, it literally moves in seasons, but sometimes you're moving through multiple seasons at one time. You may be going through a season of preparation mentally. You may be going through a season of pruning spiritually. You may be going through a season of harvest financially. And we have to learn how to be able to be aware, cognizant of what seasons we're in what areas of our life so that we're able to move smoothly and know how to balance ourselves in those situations so that we're not mentally overloaded. So, y'all know we always have at least 4 points to hit when we do our release and cleanse messages, okay? So, we're going to get into that first point right now. All right, so our first area to look at is communication and clarity. Okay. Are you thinking about what you're thinking about? It's so important. I'm always talking about this because we know that as a man, woman thinketh, so is he or she. Whatever you're thinking about is what you're calling into your life. Whatever you think about yourself is what you are giving to the world. Okay, so when you decide that you want to think about something new, you want to change what you're thinking about, that's the first step in changing your personal narrative. Okay, what thoughts are you suppressing at this time? Where or what areas are you overthinking in? It is very easy to get to overthinking when things are not going the way that you want them to go, or when things are going in a way to where you're kind of sitting in that unknown space. You don't know what's next, you don't know what's coming, and you're just sitting there and that mind get to going. We do it all the time, right? And it causes us to create problems inside of ourselves sometimes, to where we begin to tell ourselves a story that's not necessarily true. But that's what our brain is telling us, because we're going off of our previous experiences. We're going off of things that we've seen other people go through. It's like that Rolodex of history is moving in our brain. Well, this could go wrong, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and you know what I'm saying. And then we end up in a space to where we're just mentally overloaded, right? So our first question that we're really asking ourselves this release and cleanse is, what's the real story? What's really going on? Is all the stuff that we're conjuring up in our minds true? Or are we just being impatient? Or are we just sitting in a transition and we don't know how to manage our thoughts in this transition? Like, that's why it's important for us to understand what season we're in, because when we're doing that, then that's controlling our thought processes, so we're not doing all of that overthinking and putting ourselves into a situation where we can make an impulsive decision over what we've conjured up in our brain, instead of seeing what the actual reality of things are in the moment. So, what's the real story? And am I speaking the real story? Am I speaking the real story, or am I running with this made up thing that my mind has come up with? Okay. Second point, duality and perspective. What I believe versus what I say versus what I do. Okay? Because, baby, if we don't want to admit ourselves that we do this thing, that sometimes our beliefs, our words, and our actions don't match. Most of the time they don't match, until we truly get intentional and until we're truly aware of what it is that we're thinking, saying, and doing, right? We've seen people in our lives where their beliefs and actions don't match and their words don't match. And usually when someone's words don't match their actions, it starts up here first, because they don't have a strong foundation of belief in whatever it is that they're having a discrepancy between the action and the words. Okay. Also, sometimes you can be in a place where you literally have to speak yourself into some actions. You have to speak your reality out in order for you to be able to match your words with your actions. So the first thing with this whole situation is we need to reconcile our internal situations, our internal conversations with ourselves, right? I need to make sure that what I'm thinking, what I believe in this moment, is matching up to that thing that I say I want, or what I say I want to do, or who I say I want to become. And then we got to make sure that our belief systems, okay, I believe that I'm capable of becoming a multimillionaire. So if I can believe that I'm capable of becoming a multimillionaire, then I have to speak, I will be a multimillionaire. Once I'm speaking it, I can't just say it and then think that the multiple millions are just going to fall in my lap. No, you have to make sure that the words that you're saying, that you're building habits and actions around those words and building a belief system and a thought life that matches what you say you want in your life. I've seen so many people, even just recently, fumble a whole lot of situations because they could not match what they believed up here, what they said, and them actions. Because let me tell you, what you believe is what you gonna get. That's what those actions, the belief and the action are directly correlated. Those things connect first before what you say and what you do connect. Okay? Because, everything begins in the mind. And I think sometimes we forget that too. That's very important to understand. So, does my internal truth, does my internal belief system align with my external voice and my external actions? That's question number 2. Okay? Now we're moving into point number 3. Mental overload and a need for release. It's okay to let go of thoughts that are shaping your reality in a negative way. If you grew up with someone pouring negativity or hate into you, or if you grew up in a situation to where all you experienced was negativity and chaos, or you experienced abandonment and constant rejection, you got to rewire this thing up here first. Because if you don't, the rest of your life is going to show up as abandonment, rejection, negativity. Your internal voice is going to be critical. Your internal voice is going to tell you that you're not good enough, and you're going to constantly mess things up. You're going to say that you want things, you're going to get those things, but because your personal narrative, your internal situation is going to change the outcome of your external life. And that's what we don't put an emphasis on sometimes. We don't realize, like I'm telling y'all, we don't realize how much our thoughts literally, they shape our life. So you have to be able to let go of the negative things, or the things that are not serving you a purpose anymore. And 9 times out of 10, what you're releasing is always mental first before it's anything else. So releasing a belief system, or understanding that I can only do this one way. I can only live an abundant life if I do X, Y, or Z. No, you got to be able to expand your horizons and open up your mind so that you can live a full life if that's what you're trying to live. Also, there are emotions that are connected to those spaces in your mental reality. There's emotions connected to those things. So, like when we get triggered by something, you get triggered. It makes you feel emotions because it jogs your memory back to the first time you ever felt rejected, abandoned, betrayed. You trigger regression, walk down memory lane, okay? And then you respond the same way you responded in the past, even if it's not relevant to what's happening to you in that present moment. So many people do this. That's why sometimes when you're in conflict with a person and you may be having an argument with a person, their reaction to what's going on doesn't match the situation, because they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the initial trigger that maybe happened when they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, not what's happening in the moment at this big age, because they have not worked through what happened to them mentally. They have not released those situations mentally. So what happens is our brain, there's this thing called neuroplasticity, right? So our brains have all these neural pathways in them. And your neural pathways begin when your brain is developing in utero, okay? In mommy's belly, right? Even though we at this big age, there are still some neural pathways in our brain that are connected to experiences that we've had as children. Those neural pathways are connected to our nervous system. So when we react to certain things, it's sending these signals from our nervous system to our spinal cord to our brain. Our brain is sending our brain is sending signals from our brain to the nervous system. So this is what triggers certain emotions and reactions, like I said. So if if the person or self has not gone through a space of rehabilitation mentally, and renewing the mind to be able to create new neural pathways, those same little signals are going to go through those same little pathways that they've been going through since they were a child. Once you're able to say, you know what, this is not right. This is the process of unlearning and relearning. And we don't talk about that enough either. You literally have to teach your brain how to think about, how to respond to. You're reprogramming not only your mind, but your mind ends up reprogramming your nervous system. But it's an intentional piece of work, child. It's very, very intentional, okay? So, our last question. What thoughts and emotions do I need to release so this next season can go better than the last one? Reassess, look at it, see what you got to do so that you can change everything that has happened to match a life that you want to happen. Okay? We gotta be intentional about what we're thinking about so that we can call in the life that we actually desire. That's what I do. This is what I help people do. I help people to unlearn, to relearn, so that they can live the life that they actually decide or desire to live, okay? And then our final point, as we close this thing out, you need to adopt a new truth, okay? I want you, this is the part where you got to do some work, okay? I want you to get a piece of paper, get your journal, whatever you write in. I want you to rewrite your story as if you are an overcomer, not a victim. Don't look at all the things that you've gone through in your life as a stop. Okay? Don't look at those things as a stop. Look at them as a catalyst. Okay? As a catalyst. It is not a crutch. It is not your identity anymore, because you can rewrite that story. And that's what you're going to do. Once you listen to this lovely video, at the end of it, release, let it go. Let go of whatever personal narrative that's not serving you anymore. And I want you to rewrite your own story on paper as if you are the overcomer and not the victim. The victor, not the victim, because you have the power. You do. Personally, you have the power. It's not up to a magic man riding on the carpet in the sky to do it. It is for you to do it. And then you have to understand that you have divine support for you to make those decisions that you need to make to change your life. Okay? I love you guys. I want you to call your power back. I want you to retell your story. Switch that personal narrative and give yourself the power that you always knew that you had. Give that to yourself, okay? I hope to see you guys next year in 2026 for the new Release and Cleanse series. It's going to be a little different, but so much better. You guys enjoy your rest of your month of December and happy holidays.